Most people believe customers make decisions logically. They compare features, evaluate price, weigh pros and cons, and then choose the best option. But decades of research in behavioral economics and psychology show something very different. Customers usually decide emotionally and intuitively first, and only afterwards use logic to justify the choice. In fact, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman described this as System 1 and System 2 thinking. Fast, intuitive decisions first, slow, rational explanations later. If you understand how these mental shortcuts work, you don't need to manipulate customers. You simply learn how the human brain actually evaluates value, risk, and trust. Here are the 10 most powerful cognitive biases that influence almost every buying decision. Anchoring means the first number, price, or option someone sees becomes their mental reference point. Everything that comes after is judged relative to that anchor. This effect was demonstrated in experiments by Kahneman and Tversky, where even random numbers changed people's final estimates. In sales, the first figure you introduce, cost, time, or expected outcome, silently shapes the entire negotiation. If the first anchor is low, fair prices feel expensive. If the first anchor is premium, normal prices feel reasonable. Lesson: always anchor around value before discussing cost. The framing effect shows that identical information framed differently leads to different decisions. In a famous paper by Kahneman and Tversky, participants preferred saving 90 out of 100 lives over losing 10 out of 100 lives, even though the outcome was identical. In sales, framing determines perception. 95% uptime feels reassuring. 5% downtime feels dangerous. Same data, different emotional response. The brain reacts to meaning, not statistics. Loss aversion. From Prospect Theory by Kahneman and Tversky in 1979, means humans feel the pain of losing roughly twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining. In sales terms, save $10,000 is nice. Stop losing $10,000 every month is powerful. Customers are more motivated by avoiding loss than pursuing gain. That's why risk, waste, and missed opportunity often persuade more than future benefits. Status quo bias. People prefer things to stay the same, even when better alternatives exist. Change creates uncertainty. Uncertainty feels like risk, and risk triggers avoidance. Many customers stick with bad systems or outdated processes not because they're happy, but because change feels cognitively expensive. Your real competitor is often doing nothing. Social proof, also called the bandwagon effect. People look to others to decide what's correct, especially when uncertain. Robert Cialdini's persuasion research shows humans copy behavior they see as normal or popular. Customers ask, "Who else is using this?" People like me. In my industry. Testimonials often outperform feature lists. Scarcity increases perceived value. From Cialdini's work, when something feels limited, time, availability, access, the brain assumes it must be more valuable. This is rooted in evolutionary psychology. Scarcity only works if it's real. Fake urgency destroys trust faster than anything else. Authority bias. Humans defer to experts, credentials, and respected institutions. Cialdini's experiments show customers trust certifications, well-known brands, industry frameworks, and recognized experts. Authority acts as a shortcut for credibility and reduces cognitive effort. Confirmation bias. People search for information that supports what they already believe and ignore contradictions. If a customer believes all vendors overpromise, they will look for proof confirming that. This bias is strong. Even scientists must actively fight it. In sales, objections are often emotional positions, not purely logical ones. Your job is to understand the belief the customer is protecting. The availability heuristic. People judge likelihood by how easily examples come to mind. A single dramatic story feels more real than 1,000 data points. Studied by Kahneman and Tversky, this explains why a recent breach makes security feel urgent. The brain prioritizes vivid memory over statistics. Storytelling is often more powerful than spreadsheets. The decoy effect, also known as asymmetric dominance, adding a third, inferior option can push people toward a specific choice. Demonstrated by Huber, Payne, and Puto in the early 1980s. This is why pricing plans work. Basic, Pro, Enterprise. The middle option often becomes the safe choice by design. Customers don't buy logically. They buy emotionally using mental shortcuts, then justify the decision with logic. To sell ethically and effectively, anchor around value, frame outcomes clearly, highlight loss, not just gain, reduce change risk, show social proof, use real scarcity, establish authority, surface hidden beliefs, tell stories with data, structure choices intentionally. When you understand how the brain decides, selling stops feeling like persuasion and starts feeling like helping people make confident decisions, not by tricking them, but by speaking the brain's native language.